and we saw it last night. And, it doesn't always look pretty, but it's effective when it has to be, and it's fun to watch. That's the key, too. It's fun to watch because he never gives up. He makes the players believe in him. There's just a charm to all of it, and it's just fun. It really is. And at the end of the day, the numbers aren't spectacular. 25 for 38, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns. But he had that big run on 4th and 10 when they needed it most. And it did look like it was going to be a basketball score. I mean, it's 14-10 right out of the gates. Boom, 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 boom. And then both teams' offenses went into hibernation. I was surprised that the brakes were applied so effectively by both defenses. And I was a little more surprised by the Texans because we're still trying to figure out what kind of an offense they're going to be post Bobby Slowick. And so far, it hasn't been very good.
Yeah, I think when you watch the Texans, so much of their offense is predicated on they have to hit a big play. When they hit a big play within a drive, whether it was a screen pass, whether it was a shot down the field, they got points. But when they didn't do that and they were forced to drive the field, they always fell short. And I think Nick Caley, coming from being with Josh McDaniels, being with Sean McVay, I think he has a good blend of what you would think the offense would come together and be like. When you think about the Patriots and the Josh McDaniels with Brady era, it was, we can dink and dunk you down the field. We can do that. But then you think of Sean McVay getting the run game going and then hitting some of those play action shots that flip the field, but they just haven't been able to find a rhythm. One of the things that was a little alarming to me was the different times Tampa had everybody up on the line of scrimmage, and it looked like, hey, this is a possible blitz. They didn't always come, but it felt like Houston didn't get out of whatever they were in to be ready for the blitz. So, and that to me created some issues because when everyone gets up there and you only have the 5 offensive linemen and maybe a running back, you have to make some adjustment just in case everyone does come. Who has who? Because once everyone's up there, you're setting your protection. The offensive line, they can't change if somebody drops out. You can't then say, all right, I'm going to spin move and go block this next guy. There's a possibility you're going to have a free runner even if everyone doesn't come because of the threat of everyone coming. And I thought there was a couple times in the game that Tampa did a good job manipulating the offensive line and exactly what they wanted. They got everybody up there to make the protection get set, and then they would drop and send different guys, and Houston just didn't pick it up, and CJ either had to get rid of it or he had to scramble. And I thought that was, I thought they fixed some of the issues that last year felt like, man, the protection had no shot, that they had chances where they did take advantage and execute, but there were still some plays where I'm watching and being in New England, I'm like, man, it feels like there should be more talking at the line of scrimmage, them trying to figure this out, but they would just run the play. It seemed like the routes were a little too deep. CJ didn't have somewhere to get rid of the ball right away, and it felt like that was the difference because they couldn't stay on the field throughout those third down situations to get more plays and to try to get more into the drive, and that dictates the game. You see it right there, 25 first downs compared to 12. You're just not on the field enough to have enough impact plays and ultimately to go score. Like we said earlier, the special teams unit was going to be the difference if they did win the game. And now you look up, and Houston's 0-2 in a division where the Colts are playing some good football.
You mentioned Stroud. Nico Collins was targeted 9 times with 3 catches. You'd like to see a little more success rate between your quarterback and your top receiver because we know what a weapon he is. We saw it on the first drive of the game with the 29-yard touchdown pass. That just didn't seem to be there the rest of the way. Nick Chubb had the 25-yard touchdown run to cap the scoring and give the Texans the late lead before Baker Mayfield worked his magic. 25-yard touchdown run, impressive. 12 carries for 43 yards for the game. That means 11 for 18 before that last touchdown run. That's 2 straight weeks that Tampa Bay's defense has bottled up running games. And it feels like something is still missing from the Houston offense. And I just think generally, okay, the best thing the Texans have done since they began an unlikely post-Jack Easterby resurgence was win 2 playoff games at home when they were underdogs. because that keeps them in the conversation. And then they follow it up by being respectable against a much better team, whether it's the Ravens in 23 or the Chiefs last year. But on the way to that wild card game where something overcomes them in the playoffs and they play better than they do in the regular season, there aren't a lot of wins against great teams. They don't have a signature road win other than the Bengals in 23. And we've seen them lose at home. You know, they got embarrassed by the Ravens on Christmas, 31-2. It sounds like an exaggeration when you say it. I think that was the final score, 31-2. We just don't see the Texans consistently enough rise up when they're playing the great teams. And the Buccaneers, as much as people try to disregard and downplay what they've been doing, the Buccaneers are a great team. The Buccaneers are in it every year. Yeah, they lost at home in the playoffs last year to Washington, but they didn't get embarrassed like the Lions did at home by Washington, so we can cut them some slack for that one. But the Texans just they need to punch through. It can't just be, well, we beat the Jaguars, we beat the Titans, we beat the Colts. It's got to be, we can go toe-to-toe with the good teams. And they did last night. I mean, look, but you could argue, you know, really both teams, either team, you could make an argument they should have won the game easily. But, man, you know, for all the issues and the sputtering of the Texans' offense, they still almost won the game. They only lost by a point.
Yeah, I mean, they're in position to win the game. And I think if you ask DeMeco Ryans, hey, you're going to take the lead and there's going to be a 4th and 10 situation for your I think he signs up for that every day of the week. I think he says, my defense in a 4th and 10 situation, we win the game. We're getting the ball back. I got in an argument or back and forth with my brother last night because I wasn't as much of a fan of the call at the end of the game. I thought at different times, I thought Houston just got too aggressive on defense. They have Derek Stingley Jr., who was playing phenomenal on Mike Evans. Mike Evans had a couple catches because he's Mike Evans, but Stingley in tough situations, having to go play him. I just feel like Houston, when you watch the game, 2 guys stick out almost every time in a pass rush situation. Donnell Hunter and Will Anderson Jr., the way they rush, the pressure they were putting on these tackles. I thought Houston could have said, you know what, we've pressured you, we've been on you. There's a few times in the game to get down like you're blitzing and then play coverage, get guys out in coverage, and then let those 2 defensive ends get one-on-ones, because when they got one-on-ones, they were winning anyway. And I just thought the aggression, and I think Baker Mayfield knew as soon as he dropped back, all right, they're sending some kind of blitz. And when you look at that last play again, the tight end is wide open in the flat. I think Baker Mayfield dropped back, saw that they were blitzing, put his eyes down and said, how can I get out of this? Because if I get out of this, there's no one left to get me. I am running. I'm getting this first down. And I think I just feel like when you play a game and your tendencies continue to show up, when you play against good quarterbacks, they know that tendency is going to show up and they're going to play to it. And I just felt like Houston could have just given themselves a few wrinkles throughout the game to make it a little harder. And I thought that last play, a wrinkle would have crushed Tampa. They wouldn't have expected it, and Houston would have walked off. And my brother's like, you do what you do. What you do is what you do. You live and die off that. And I'm like, but you don't have to. You can be creative and do some different things that help you win a game.
Yeah, because you want to be unpredictable. I mean, you do what you do, but if you can throw that curveball at the right moment, you introduce an element that the other team didn't expect. I hadn't thought of this until just now, but do you think the Texans were influenced at all by this perception that they had beat the crap out of Baker Mayfield, and if he runs, he'll never get the 10 yards. We'll get to him before he gets there. Does that become part of the conscious play call and strategy in that moment, that we know we're going to have a hole here, and if we don't get him immediately, he might squirt through it, but, you know, the guy's hobbling around like Fred G. Sanford. We're not worried about him getting the yards that he needs.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a side of, we're not going to let him get the ball off because he's not mobile enough to probably run. And again, like I said, DeMeco Ryans is going to sign up for To'o being free and having a chance to sack Baker Mayfield every single day. And, I'm probably nitpicking when I bring that up because they did. They had a free guy to Baker Mayfield. They sent more than Tampa could block in that situation. They didn't deliver. So there's always going to be an argument for that. And, again, I understand that, especially you get a feel for the game and you're like, man, this guy's been through hell today. Like, we've hit him again. Even when he got rid of the ball, we were hitting him. Like, it was just so much pressure by Houston, and a lot of it was guys off the edge, whether it was Petrie blitzing or somebody else coming off the edge. So I get that and see that it's just tough, man. It's one of those plays that when it doesn't work your way, people like me are going to come out here and say, hey, I probably would have done something different. But I do have proof. I was texting that during the game. Hey, let's play coverage a few times. But again, that's who Houston is, and they played right to the edge. They beat Baker Mayfield up. But I also think the scouting report coming into the game is this guy's unshakable. Like, we can hit him. We can do whatever we want. He's still going to be there at the end of the game going full tilt. I think that's the scouting report on Baker Mayfield. And, again, I have to give credit to Tampa, and we did that earlier. Like, a lot of credit goes to Baker for doing that in that moment in the game.
Here's a little Baker Mayfield from after the game on the second straight come-from-behind fourth-quarter win to start the season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
In these 2-minute close games, we were not on the right side of things for the past couple of years, and it's good to see that we haven't even played close to our best ball in all three phases, and we're still finding ways to win on the road, and that's really important, is to not lose sight of that. We're finding ways to win, but also we do need to get things fixed. Some of these games can make it easier on ourselves and try and put teams away earlier, but this is a good team that we played, so we expected a hard-fought battle, but yeah, it's nice to be on the right side of it.
Yeah, again, special teams was a disaster for the Bucs last night. You can't get away with missed field goal, blocked punt, long punt return. You can't. That will kill you. It's the all-important third phase of the game. Jimmy Johnson, the Hall of Fame head coach, the Cowboys and the Dolphins, thought that the special teams were equally important to offense and defense. You look at all the yards and points that come from those plays that aren't regarded as central to the game of football, but they are. And it almost got the Bucs last night. And look, the hallmark of a great team is a team that finds a way to win, especially when they're not playing at their best. It's going to click. They're going to get Chris Godwin back. I was impressed by the throw to Emeka Egbuka on 3rd and 10 that he probably should have caught. I know it's only a second game. I don't know if he made a bad adjustment. You got guys hovering around you. It's not like I don't look at it and say, "Oh man, that you really blew that." It would have been a tough catch, but could have made it, didn't. But it's one of those, like, it's easy to think not our night, and then the next play is that run on 4th and 10. So we talked last week about the J.J. McCarthy mindset when the Vikings were down in the fourth quarter and found some well of resilience and forgot about what had happened, and immediately Baker Mayfield forgets about that play and does whatever it takes to get the first down and then finishes the drive. It really was fun to watch. A lot of that game was boring. I mean, it was 14-10 for a very long time in that game. And it just was sluggish and punt fest, but, man, it paid off in the end. And it paid off because Mayfield's got the talent, he's got the drive, he's got the resolve, he's got the toughness, he's got the will. He doesn't have the chain. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.